for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily or use the MyMTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Good morning, Uganda. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra. I hope you're having a very good Friday morning. In the morning earlier on, it was very cold, but now the sun is out and very bright. I hope you're enjoying the vitamins that come with the morning sunshine as you look forward to the weekend. I know most of you pretend to be productive on Friday, but in actual sense, you can't wait to get to 5 p.m. and you just rush out of office. We are coming to you live straight from UBC here at Nile Avenue, the headquarters of UBC TV. We are just here to inspire you as always. And my name is Joanne N. Moronji. And today's special program, we are going to discuss clean cooking in schools. And across Uganda, you bear me witness, schools are spending a significant portions of their budgets on firewood. And students too arrive at schools carrying firewood. At times, there is even exchange for firewood and school fees. When we look at the cooks, when it comes to inhalation of the smoke, that is a very sad story, because in the long run, it can even affect your health if not properly managed. And to the society, if we look at the weather and climate, deforestation is also becoming rampant due to cutting of trees for firewood and also for charcoal. So today we are going to dissect into this issue of clean cooking, and this is going to change for a reason that schools are providing another possible way on how we can cut fuel costs and also reduce cooking time in half, and planning hundreds of thousands of trees that are being destroyed for the sake of firewood. And when you look at the country Uganda, Uganda has set an ambitious target of 50% clean cooking access by 2030. And today we explore how schools are driving this energy revolution. And today I have a distinguished guest who is Ms. Justine Akumu, a senior energy officer with the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. Good morning, Ms. Justine.
Good morning, Joanne.
How are you? You're welcome. How have you been?
I've been very good.
Okay, you can say hello to our viewers.
Yes. Good morning, viewers. My name is Justine Akumu. I work with the Ministry of Energy and Mineral unit. Thank you.
Okay. Wow, when someone talks about cooking, they think it's all about being in the kitchen preparing dishes. I think we are going to, by the end of this program, you will have something different from the view, because we are discussing clean cooking. So, Ms. Justine, for the broader perspective, what is the percentage of clean cooking in schools as we speak?
Yes. Thank you very much, Joanne. I just wanted to just build on from where you've stopped. When it comes to cooking, we don't only look at what you're cooking, what you're eating, the food, but what have you used to prepare your food. So it's very important that we have the energy. The energy that we need to prepare our food is very integral to the whole, discussion when it comes to cooking, because you have to cook the food, but with what energy? And today, as we discuss, we want to talk about, again, highlight and put a spot on the aspect of cooking. And here we are focusing on schools, but maybe just to bring to perspective what the situation is in the country. Majority of us, and that is households, that is schools, institutions such as prisons are heavily relying on biomass, and that is in the form of firewood and charcoal to meet their energy needs. The demand for firewood is very predominant, especially in the institutions such as schools, while when it comes to the household level, you find there's heavy reliance, and especially within urban centers, people are using a lot of charcoal.
Exactly.
And then, of course, in the villages, our grandparents in the village are still heavily relying on firewood. Whereas that's happening, what does it mean?
Exactly, what is the big picture?
It's creating a crisis.
Why now?
Yes, because of that heavy reliance, and of course mindful that our population is growing every day, we are exerting enormous pressure on our forests, because that is where this energy is coming from. And this is one of the leading causes of deforestation in Uganda today. Another thing is the technology that we are using to prepare, we are using with our firewood and charcoal is not very efficient. We are using, have you seen these 3-stone fires? What we used to call, what we called, enku, and also the metallic charcoal stoves. Those are very inefficient, so they produce a lot of smoke. So you find it's our mothers, it is the wives, it is the the women who are doing the cooking that are inhaling that smoke, and sometimes their children in the kitchen, they are also inhaling that smoke. And further research has linked that smoke to illnesses. Most respiratory illnesses have been linked to actually that smoke.
Even
so
cancers.
Yes, that's true. And we've seen that prevalent among pregnant mothers, whom we've seen actually, their pregnancy is actually affected by that. So our research shows that those respiratory illnesses are actually contributing to the death of women and children and accounting for about 21,000 deaths annually in Uganda. That is very dangerous, and that is one of the things that is making us highlight this problem and bring it to the attention of the world and to households, so that people can know the need to transform to cleaner solutions. Another very important thing is the economic impact.
That's why it is urgent right now.
Yes, you see, as you're buying firewood and charcoal, you're spending a lot.
It's expensive. A sack goes for minimum 65,000.
Yes, yes. And now translate that to a school. We've seen schools that go to buy a truck of firewood that they need to prepare food for probably a week, depending on the school population, and they're spending about 1 million shillings.
I'm imagining the school has to cook for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and at times some even have evening tea. The amount of firewood they can use within just a space of 1 week.
Yes, that is true, and because of that and the depleting, the rate of deforestation, we are realizing that we are seeing scarcity. That same truck of firewood that is costing $1 million shillings today, probably 5 years ago was going for 500,000. And because of the scarcity of supply, the price of this biomass that schools actually need and other institutions need is increasing. Now, what are we seeing? It's taking a toll on their operational costs, but also we have seen cases where sometimes there's just no firewood. The school has the money, wants to prepare the food, but there's just no firewood, and we experience that there's no supply, and we experience that, for instance, during rainy seasons when the roads and everything, and because of that, it affects school feeding, because then again, if you can't have the energy, you have the food, but you don't have the energy, you can't cook the food on time, it affects the whole program. So we are bringing this problem to light to tell the public that as government we are not sitting back, we are doing a lot to make sure that we address this problem and ensure that we have communities, institutions that are using clean and efficient cooking technologies. Thank you very much.
You've talked about deforestation, and I can't imagine the repercussions if deforestation dominates the entire country of Uganda. At times currently, minus today that we had rainfall power down. It has been so hot the previous weeks and the previous days. And I can imagine the other effects of deforestation to Uganda specifically. So you need to think twice before you decide to keep on cooking with the biomass. So while all this is happening, Ms. Justin, is the government sleeping? Are the responsible authorities doing nothing? What is the government really doing about this crisis?
No, the government is not sleeping. The government is aware of this crisis, and this is clearly aligned and clearly elucidated in our national plans. So the National Development Plan, our National Energy Policy of 2023, our National Energy Transition Plans clearly bring out the problem and show government's intentions to address this problem. And here government recognizes the economic burden of deforestation that is linked to the need for energy. Government recognizes the economic burden that this takes on when it comes to meeting the health needs, because when you have these respiratory illnesses from inhaling smoke, you have to go to the hospital. That's money lost, and that takes a toll on you. We recognize the impact that it has on the education sector and other institutions, and with that, government has come up with very clear policies aimed at addressing this.
And what are those?
Yes, so in our energy policy, we have targets to have, and also maybe just also speak about the fourth National Development Plan. We have targets to reduce the heavy reliance on biomass, that is firewood and charcoal, from about 90% as it is today to at least,
do this?
Yes, to at least 50%, and also increase the acceleration and the accelerated adoption of the alternatives from the current state as it is to about 50% by 2030. And in addition to that, so yes, the question is, how is government going to do this?
Because if I imagine it could be a bit easier for the rural masses, for the urban masses, but what about in the rural areas? So please go ahead and tell me, how is it going to make sure this is enforced?
Yes, so through an integrated approach, the government is developing a national integrated clean cooking strategy. This strategy has been developed, and here this strategy aims at achieving universal access to clean cooking solutions. This strategy is very ambitious. It's looking at what it takes to make the whole community, the whole country, using cleaner cooking solutions. And here we are targeting to achieve this by 2040. And you know, with the adoption of different programs, we see that we can actually achieve it at a much faster pace. So in that regard, in the National Integrated Clean Cooking Strategy, we are looking at, and again, growing the various supply chains that constitute modern clean cooking solutions. As you are aware, we have gas in the country, we have LPG, and government is having significant campaigns, and those are awareness creation interventions aimed, as well as, you know, investing in actual infrastructure aimed at increasing, again, the adoption of LPG in the country. Another value chain that we are looking at as a modern clean cooking solution is electricity. Everywhere you go across across Uganda, you will find electricity. The electricity lines are well distributed across the country, and with this electricity, we can use this electricity for cooking. Now, with electricity, we have modern and efficient cooking again, appliances such as the electric pressure cookers. We have at the household level, even at the institutional level, we have, you know, electric boilers, and even at the commercial, that's in the hotels and the restaurants, we have very efficient modern solutions that can actually cut down the amount of money that you needed if you were using charcoal, and reduce that by about even 50%.
Ms. Jacinda, just to interject you a bit, are you aware that Ugandans, most of them are actually complaining about the high rates of electricity?
Yes.
So if we are switching to clean cooking and we need to rely on some of the things, electricity, is the rural person going to be able to afford this? Even maybe the commercial people in business.
Yes.
If the electricity rates are so high, it will drain them.
That's a very important question that you've asked, and I'm glad that we have a solution for that. And as I continue to talk about the value chains, we recognize that, you know, some solutions are very, very suitable for the urban settings, and others are more suited for the rural settings. And here we are, in addition to the electricity, we are looking at solutions like biogas. For instance, communities that rear animals, especially within the cattle corridor areas, are very suitable for using biogas. We also have a lot of agro waste that is being generated in the country as we continue to process coffee, rice husks, groundnut shells. All that waste is a very important resource for us. And here we are now converting that waste into fuels such as briquettes, such as pellets, and these can also work as a substitute, to firewood and charcoal. We are also promoting the use of ethanol for cooking. So we have a variety of clean and modern solutions that can then reduce the demand on firewood and charcoal. But back to your question on electricity. Is the electricity affordable?
And is the supply really there?
Yes.
Because already we are having scarcity at times. So how is an ordinary Ugandan who would like to adopt to this new clean cooking strategy using electricity? I imagine a hotel trying to, they're having a wedding. They are trying to bake cakes for each table that is available in the venue. And amid putting the cakes in the oven, power goes off.
Yes, that's true. In that regard, what we are, again, as we promote these clean cooking solutions, they are very intelligent. You don't need to cook for the whole day. You're simply looking at 1 to 3 hours of cooking. And then these solutions are actually having, settings for warming and everything. So when we look at, yes, we've had that about scarcity, blackouts and brownouts. But what we see is that the power won't be gone for the whole day. The time that the power is available, you can actually cook with that. For instance, when I give an example of myself, when I'm cooking my beans, I need only 40 minutes of cooking beans.
What are you using?
I use an electric pressure cooker. And within 40 minutes, my beans are ready. Within 2 minutes, I boil my eggs. I nowadays make molokoni. In the past, I used to go to a restaurant to do so. But now with my electric pressure cooker, I need only 50 minutes to prepare my food. So you find the cooking time has been cut down significantly, making it possible for households not to spend the whole day cooking. And what we've seen is even when there are power blackouts, we don't, power is not gone for the day, but there are interventions, again, with our Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited that are being geared towards improving the reliability of this electricity. So we know, and also increasing access to, for the households and the schools to have this electricity and support them with cooking. But of course, as these interventions are going on, we recognize that households and even schools don't really rely on one solution. Let me give an example of myself. I boil the water in the kettle. I fry the eggs on the gas. When it comes to muchomo, I have this other solution. So that's what we call stacking. Households do stacking. So here what we're seeing is you can't have only, again, rather than relying on one solution, we are taking an integrated approach that enables households to cut down the demand on firewood and charcoal through a use of different solutions. For instance, we want to promote households to use more gas and electricity. In the urban, within the rural settings, they can, those that have access to biogas can use it. And so that as you're stacking, then you're mixing, we want to have, again, a mixture of cleaner solutions rather than a mixture of dirtier solutions to do that cooking. Yeah.
Very profound. We are discussing schools driving the energy revolution, clean cooking for a sustainable future. Now, Ms. Justin, why are educational institutions very central in the national clean cooking strategy?
Yes, education institutions are very important for us. I mean, you're looking at centers of mindset change, and here we look at, first of all, these children. The children are concentrated here. We can use the children as change agents to not only drive that transition to cleaner solutions in schools, but then work with the children to go back home and tell their parents about the good news about the cleaner cooking solution.
So they can sensitize them.
Yes. So the schools are serving as demonstrational units on clean cooking. Here, we are using them as change agents for the community. Once you transform a school, you're transforming the children, the students, and you're transforming the parents. But also, I spoke about the impact, whereas we have about, more than 70,000 schools in Uganda today, and majority of them are cooking. So, and you
with
find
clean cooking,
majority of them are using firewood predominantly for cooking. And you find, these schools, you're looking at schools that have populations, sometimes even up to 1,000, 2,000 students concentrated. So the impact, the demand for firewood at that time is very high. It has a very, very high impact. You're harvesting significant chunks of, again, tons and tons of firewood to meet the cooking needs, and the schools are growing, of course, as our population grows. So it's important then that we come up with interventions aimed at reducing the demand. I spoke about the cost that schools are incurring.
Yeah.
This money keeps increasing. What they were paying 500,000 shillings for a truck of firewood has now shot up. It's about 1 million shillings. In some cases, for instance, within Kampala. But what's also interesting is we've gone as far as Karamoja, and we've seen schools are actually still paying a lot of money. So it's not a case of urban schools. You go to Karamoja, you go to Arua, you go to Namutumba district, the situation is the same. Schools are incurring significant costs. So again, that is what drives the need to promote clean cooking solutions. We want to ensure that schools can then get cleaner and affordable technology. Another thing is time. You find cooks, and you find you go into a kitchen. If you went to boarding school,
it's crazy.
Did you serve food in the kitchen?
It's crazy,
You'd go in, you'd spend 2 minutes just going to serve food, and you're locked up in smoke. Now look at those cooks.
The temperatures.
Now what about the cooks who have to spend the whole day in the kitchen to prepare this food? What is the toll it's taking on their health?
Exactly.
We found out that these cooks don't even work for long. They work for a period of 3 months and they quit. And then again, it becomes a burden to the schools because the environment is unbearable. It's taking a toll on their health. And because of that, it's important that we come up with solutions. Another thing is time lost. A school, you're preparing, you're taking 7 hours to prepare beans. And yet we have technology today that can prepare the same beans for less than half the time.
Very true. Recently I was talking to someone and they asked me, do you cook? Are you going to cook? I'm like, I pictured the amount of time I'm going to use to light a charcoal stove. And also the cooking process, I'm like, no, I'd rather go to a restaurant and buy something. So when you talk about the time, I completely concur with you. So is there any school in Uganda, as we speak, that has registered any significant impact of this strategy?
Yes, we have a number of schools where we've piloted cleaner cooking solutions. For instance, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development has piloted large biogas systems, institutional biogas systems within Mount St. Mary's Secondary School in Namagunga. And again, the testimonies that we received from the the teaching staff was that and here with a biogas solution, you're not just addressing the cooking need, but you're using waste that is generated within the school to then, again, you're managing it by converting into the bioenergy, which you get for cooking, and manage the, again, the waste. So what does that mean? That smell, again, the toilets are managed, but then you find the rate of cooking, you find the cooks actually are more comfortable, they are happier. Schools have recorded again, with such solutions, schools have registered, again, their staff, not lower turnover of their staff, they are available, but also we've seen, again, we've received testimony from the school leadership telling us how their costs have been reduced through several interventions that the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development has done with partners across the country, and here we have programs that are being implemented, such as under the Electricity Access Scale-Up project of the Ministry of Energy. We are piloting close to about 600 schools, converting them to achieve cleaner cooking solutions. In addition, through our our Uganda National Oil Company, UNOC, we had, and Shell Vivo, I think we had a pilot of an LPG system within King's College Budo. So what we're seeing is, again here, I'm talking about a multitude of several cooking solutions. This is not an education institution, but this is a baby's home. So we've also piloted electric cooking within Sanyu Baby's Home, and here we've had, again, testimonies of the administration telling us how they have not only saved money, but it has actually improved the health of the children, because they had cases where they needed to prepare a meal, but it was taking so long to prepare the baby's milk, and here you're dealing with infants. So what made them switch to electric systems was the electric systems were more reliable, and they could prepare the children's food fast enough. So what we are seeing with the pilots that we've demonstrated so far is we've seen savings in money, and of course that's quite significant for a school, to make savings in money, because then that's money they can use to redeploy, to buy educational material, to do additional infrastructure development. We've seen testimonies from schools and even students telling us, the kitchen used to smell so bad. My uniform would get, drenched in smoke. Now I enjoy going to the kitchen, and we've seen, better environments as a result. And that is what drives us to come up with targets aimed at achieving universal transition from dirtier fuels and less efficient technology to cleaner and more efficient technology. I also want to highlight some of the interventions that are being done by the World Food Programme and through their support that they're providing to the within Karamoja, the Karamoja sub-region. Again, the schools that are being supported have been supported with efficient electric cooking. Not electric cooking. They have been supported with efficient biomass cook stoves. And here, these cook stoves are able to reduce the demand. Assuming a school was using 10 trucks of firewood, that demand has reduced to like about 3 trucks. And we've had testimonies of schools telling us we were used spending millions of shillings on buying firewood. Now we don't anymore. And the firewood was scarce. We're sourcing it as far as outside Karamoja. Now schools are being prepared on time. So we've seen how ensuring that you have sustainable energy provided within a cooking program within schools is actually integral to an overall, again, school, feeding program, and improves the whole, again, management of the whole school, because you have meals being prepared on time and you have the nutrition of the children being improved. Thank you.
Okay, we are discussing clean cooking for a sustainable future. Let's take a quick coffee break. We are returning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped. It's even harder to lose weight. Come and give it a try. Genshikang L-carnitine chromium capsules, plant extract, scientific ratio, take 3 capsules each time. The active ingredient accelerates fat burning, eat twice a day, don't take a detour. Weight loss starts now. Genshikang L-carnitine with chromium capsules helps you stay in shape. Please follow medical advice when taking this product. For more information, visit our website www.hgo.com or call 0800 335555.
You see, I've been a painter for almost 4 decades, and I have found Global Paints to be very reliable. First, everyone knows we use Global Paint undercoat. Now, for the best results, I continue with Global Paints products. I go for silk vinyl when it comes to the interior. Then Global Matte for the ceiling, and when it comes to weatherproof, I go for Global Weather Coat Emulsion. With that one, the house will never peel. Now, there you have a sparkling, magical-looking house. And then the client is very happy. He recommends me to another person, who recommends me to another person, who recommended me to come and do the advert.
Global Paint, a reliable product. Pick of the day on UBC.
One-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
A weekly face-to-face conversation focusing on accountability, inspiration, information, and sensitization of the public from the various sources, such as inspirational profiles.
Having a disability is not inability.
Every Friday, 9 p.m., it's one-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
Don't you see anywhere that you would give a credit in the fight against COVID?
My role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving credit to my server.
We have said that if we are to talk to General Museveni, there must be certain conditions in place.
Is it true that you paid 5 million shillings to MPs that voted for?
Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know. You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks, Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from that quick break. We are discussing clean cooking for a sustainable future. And with me on set is Ms. Justine Akumo, a Senior Energy Officer with the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. Before we went for the break, she was telling me about the piloting that is going on in communities and schools. And I'm curious to know, are these pilots having any results, at that, positive results? Ms. Justine.
Yes, thank you so much for that question. And I was talking about, the interventions that have been done by the World Food Programme within Karamoja sub-region. And we've seen how this has actually improved. So the World Food Programme is having a school feeding, is implementing a school feeding program that provides meals for children as they go to school, and that was targeting primary, secondary, and technical and vocational institutions. And so what we saw was that in some cases, and I think these were lessons from where the food had been supplied to schools, but then the schools didn't have the energy to cook the food. So
the food was there, but the energy.
And so
that is
the food wasn't
ridiculous.
being cooked.
So it was even going bad.
Yes, so it was important that then we went back and again supported the design establishment of the improved cooking solutions that then require less firewood. What we've seen is through the pilots, and this is through the lessons that have been seen so far, is that because of the food being prepared on time, the cooking time has reduced. And it has improved the quality of education.
Ms. Justine, I want to know about the statistics because they are very crucial in telling whether there is a positive result or not. Can we speak in terms of percentages for the viewer there to know the reason as to why they should switch to clean cooking?
Yeah, no, the results are they're very physical and tangible, and indeed we've seen again firewood savings again going to as far as 60%.
Wow. Yeah,
just by transitioning to efficient cooking solutions. We've seen cooking time being cut by more than half. Yeah, so that time that the school had to spend to cook meals the whole day has been cut by half by just improving the cooking technology. But also, what does that translate? When you reduce the demand for firewood by half, what does that translate? It means the rate of deforestation is reducing. We've seen microclimates actually improving within the region just because of the reduced demand for firewood. So this is very important. And also the life, again, testimonies from cooks telling us, I used to inhale this smoke. My skin was getting rashes on my skin. I didn't know what it was. Now that I'm back, now that I see this, with this efficient solution, I'm starting to realize that actually it was this smoke and this hot environment that was affecting my skin. We've seen actually most students coming to school just because of, again, you have efficient cooking systems, and especially for private schools, we've seen more, again, higher enrollment because of the timely manner of food preparation. So from the statistics from the World Food Programme, I think about the World Food Programme's pilot within Karamoja, there are about 320 schools within the 9 districts, and within those districts, it's providing education for over 255,000 students.
Okay.
Yeah, so however, what has been done so far is the pilot within the World Food Program has supported at least 59 schools. And within the 59 schools, you see, again, the quality, again, the results that I've already elucidated to you. It's also important because you're introducing new technology. It's important that you train these cooks. These cooks have spent their whole life exposed to this way of cooking. You're introducing a new type of cooking. You need to build their capacity, work with them, train them on how to use these technologies. And we've seen that once they have been trained, they not only adopt them, they go back and even recommend to the administration, telling them, we need to cook with this, and that's it. And also, we've seen actually that, again, through these interventions, you find the schools now get interested in, the students get interested in other environmental activities through environmental clubs, doing tree planting and everything. So overall, the efficient cooking technology programs in schools are very important because they are transformational in again, transforming the lives of the students, but also cutting costs and improving the livelihoods generally for the schools. Yeah.
Okay, we are hearing about improved cooking stoves and electric cooking. Are these approaches competitive?
Yes.
How competitive are they?
All efficient cook stoves are, I mean, they're efficient and improved, but some are more modern than the others. So you've heard me talking about inefficient systems, you know, improved and then modern. And here I just want to relate with what, again, the bad one, the one we don't want, and that's the three-stone fire. And that falls within what we call tier 0 cook stoves because they are highly emitting, they are not safe to use, they are very wasteful of energy. Those are the ones we want to do away with. And unfortunately, over 60% of the schools in Uganda today are still using the three-stone fires. And so, yeah, so what they fall within the category of tier 0. Then you have, in the case of the household, if you see this modern charcoal cook stove, that's just it's not a modern cook stove, it's a charcoal stove, but it has a metallic lining.
And clay, is it made of clay?
There is no clay in it, it's just a metallic lining. You buy it at 1,000, 2,000 shillings. It's very wasteful. That one, when you light it, it gets so hot. Imagine a child moving by, they're burnt, they're scalded away, and we've seen cases of that. You who's mingling the kalo as you're holding the saucepan, those flames can burn you. Those technologies are very wasteful and very unsafe to use. And those are the technologies that we are shifting away from. They're the wasteful ones that we don't have. And that's the baseline, unfortunately. But then we go to the next level, and that's what we call more of a transitional level. And here we have the improved biomass cook stoves. And here we have, let's look at a scenario in the household level. Here you're improving that metallic cook stove, then you improve the lining with a clay lining inside, so to improve the insulation. You're also improving the cook stove. Again, we change the operational parameters a bit, so it improves the performance of the biomass cook stove significantly. And those ones we've seen that they are more efficient by over 50%, and they reduce emissions significantly. And those are the improved biomass cook stoves. And for a time back there, the ministry and partners have been rolling out the more improved biomass cook stoves. At the school level, you find these are at the education institutional level. These are the rocket type of cook stoves. We construct them, we build them, and with some masonry and with a proper architectural design, technical design, we design them in a way that they are able to absorb all the flames and hence reduce the demand for the firewood significantly. So here we can get up to 50% firewood savings by just having a modern and improved efficient biomass cook stove.
Something I've picked up from what you've said. It seems I need to also have an architectural design that is appropriate. I can't just wake up and construct it by myself. There are dynamics and motifs that people use to construct.
We have standard designs with the ministry, which we've also shared with partners, and these are what the designs that our partners use. We have standardized bills of quantities. We have trained technicians and artisans to construct these cook stoves in line with our standards and our guidelines, so that what you have is an actual system that is able to give you the 50% emission saving. The firewood saving. Yeah.
Are these designs accessible to the public, or you just enforce it on me, you have to use this one, or I can choose any of my choice?
What we want is to encourage schools to use the designs that are from the ministry, because again, those are the best designs. You're able to achieve the desired savings in terms of firewood and the emissions reduction and the smoke reduction. So that's what we are working with district local governments, again through our partners as well, to ensure that when the schools are constructing these systems, these are actually the designs that they are using. But also then after the biomass, we want to transition entirely. And we are, we have cases, for instance, now we are switching to the modern forms of energy. We are looking at scenarios of where a school doesn't have to use the firewood. Can the school use gas? I mean, if I can make a saving in using gas at the household, I should be able to make a saving at the education institutional level, but of course it's contextual. So we are seeing cases within urban areas where the demand, the cost of firewood is relatively high. We are introducing LPG. We are also piloting the use of electricity for cooking. And here we are seeing just with electric cooking, a school can make savings of up to, by 40%, just shifting from electric to, the other way around, by shifting from firewood to electric. So
I wanted to ask you about that. Are these schools actually making any savings?
Yes.
From these transitions?
Yes. That is what would, otherwise the school wouldn't use it. It wouldn't make sense for a school. I mean, then the school would run back to the firewood if they weren't making a saving.
Because schools, most of mine are the government schools. Private schools are in business. So if it is not viable for them business-wise, I think they would put question marks. But if you say they are making savings, I think it's a good move.
Yes, the private schools are into education as a social investment, and indeed they have running costs that have to be met, and therefore it's important that they have efficient ways of systems aimed at reducing the demand and hence reducing the cost that they're spending. So what we're seeing is a number of private schools are adopting these systems, and yes, so we're seeing transitions in, it's possible for you to then switch from firewood to electric to LPG. I also spoke about biogas. With biogas, what we piloted in Namagunga and so many other schools across the country, we saw that the biogas was not only solving the cooking need, it was actually solving the waste problem. Waste, and now when we put in a better toilet that was able to then, break down the waste properly, what we got as testimonies actually from parents. They're telling us, now when I come to school, I go to this particular bathroom. We also found out that the pupils now prefer these bathrooms that have the biogas systems, because that smell within the school and the school's microenvironment has improved. Now, where schools used to incur a lot of money in
waste management and also firewood,
emptying the latrines and everything, those are costs that are being saved, and that is what is driving the need to transition to these modern and cooking solutions. Of course, I spoke about how it affects staff, how staff have to keep, living there. Again, abandoning that work because of that effect. We're seeing the staff retention has also increased, and also in general, we're seeing because of the cost savings, which is the biggest driver for the transition, schools are becoming more aware and they are very interested to actually switch and transition. Thank you very much.
Hitting two birds with one stone, properly and efficiently managing your wastes, and at the same time you are saving what would have been spent on firewood. I would like to know, what is the pathway forward? How are we going to scale this cooking to cleaning for a better future? Yes.
Thank you very much for that question. And before I even provide an answer to that, I also want to talk about something that's very critical, and that is the kitchen. Again, a kitchen is part of the whole, infrastructure and the whole cooking system, and therefore it's important that a kitchen is well designed to make sure that the cook stoves again, provide the right ventilation needed, provide enough space for the cooking to take place, and also to protect these cooking appliances from these, again, any physical, environmental, for instance, weather, rain, etc. So it's very important that then schools have the right kitchens that, again, can house the efficient system. So those are some of the interventions that we've also been working on in collaboration with the World Food Programme, coming up with a standard kitchen design and encouraging schools to then design the right kitchens that can then enable us to put the right cooking technology. So the kitchen is part of the whole ecosystem that is needed for a proper and a clean and modern cooking system in schools. So now to your question, what is the way forward? What we've done is we've piloted a lot of pilots that have taken place with collaboration with the Ministry of the Ministry of Education and Sports, with the World Food Programme. We've been able to pilot and demonstrate that indeed there are savings, and indeed schools can transition. So with that, a lot of knowledge is coming out to appreciate, first of all, to make it known to schools that, hey, you're spending a lot of money. This firewood is really costing you a lot of money, between 20 to 30% of your operational costs, and to make schools aware of the problem. To also communicate to schools, we've done a lot of capacity building and training and strengthening, again, the suppliers of this technology. To make sure that they can provide the right technology to the schools. We've also we've worked with, again, associations within within schools, for instance, the private association of school proprietors, and strongly working with the Ministry of Education and Sports to come up with bigger programs aimed at transitioning, because we are looking at over 70,000 schools across the country, and the number keeps growing. So it's important that we have interventions aimed at addressing, curbing this as quickly as possible. So one of the again, ultimately, as we pilot the technology, we are looking at the opportunity, given a school is making a saving, then that saving should be able to translate and provide an opportunity for financing, for instance, from institutions such as banks, commercial institutions, to provide schools with the requisite financing to actually construct, to, again, onboard and procure the technology for cooking. So here we're having a number of programs aimed at linking schools with financing institutions to provide affordable and cheap and patient capital, to the schools to help them access and the right technology. Another thing we're doing, which is very important, and it goes back to the beginning, is the emissions reduction. In today's world, we have carbon markets. Those emission reductions are tradable. So what we are designing programs aimed at supporting schools to actually collect some of that carbon financing, to then support them with the operation of the cook stove and the actual construction of the system. So what we want to have is, again, programs aimed at, again, scaling up this program, again, these interventions, again, coming from pilots to now to scale. We've received a lot of support from the Modern Energy Cooking Services Program, supported by the UK government, to promote electric cooking. With partners like World Food Programme, we've actually demonstrated, again, how the savings in Karamoja that schools can actually have when they switch to modern cooking solutions. And this is support that has been provided, I think, by the government of Denmark. The government of Uganda has also invested and again piloted in a number of interventions. So right now, what we want is, we've had a proof of concept. So now we are moving to scale. And going back to government strategy, we want universal cooking, clean cooking, even in education institutions. So we are designing programs, again, financing, to ensure that schools can then be able to transition. Thank you.
From your submission and all the development partners you have mentioned, I believe the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development is not having any constraints in financing this project as we speak. You people are good to go when it comes to rolling this out.
We need money. Yes, we need financing, and like I said, we've had a proof of concept. We've demonstrated that indeed there is a cost saving, health benefits are positive.
That's very crucial.
We've also demonstrated that there's an emissions reduction, and with that, we've seen the need to then scale up this intervention. So we are looking for financing to then roll out and ensure that we have universal clean cooking access within these schools. So that is what we are looking for, and we hope that we can achieve it with the support of the government and also our partners. Yeah.
Okay, as we wrap up this, why should a Ugandan or every Ugandan be concerned or care about clean cooking, especially in schools?
Yes, it's very important because all our children are going to school. They're going there, they're interfacing with that smoke, you know. So that's, again, from the health perspective, it's important because then our children are being exposed, the cooks are being exposed to that smoke, but also the cost that's incurring, because then if schools are spending that much on firewood, who's paying for that firewood? It's the parent who's paying school fees. It is the additional costs that, you know, government should be sending for, you know, other scholastic materials that is then having to be diverted to pay, again, you know, for firewood to meet cooking needs. And it's also in cases where there is no firewood, it's affecting the need to, again, you know, education. So it's important then that we, again, from the cost saving perspective, but like I spoke, you know, we are not living in islands. We are in a global, this is, the effect of the environment and on climate is a global issue. What's the detrimental impact that again, the cooking in schools is causing to the environment is not just affecting the school, it's affecting me because it's affecting the climate at large, the same climate that I'm living in. So it's important that we have interventions aimed at reducing the demand for firewood and having cleaner cooking solutions. So as parents, as school proprietors, as line ministries and as partners, it's important that then we go in and have interventions aimed at reducing the demand for firewood through clean cooking programs.
Okay. We were discussing issues concerning schools driving the energy revolution, clean cooking for a sustainable future. And as we close, Ms. Justin is going to give us her closing remarks, but every Ugandan watching, you need to know that it is imperative for everyone to switch to clean cooking. Your closing remarks.
Yes, thank you so much again for giving me this opportunity to talk about the work we are doing in promoting clean cooking in institutions. And here we are focusing on education institutions and why. Again, the rate of deforestation in Uganda has reduced. I think our forest cover now stands at about 11.5%. And we're still taking a backward trend. And this is bound to increase if we do not have interventions aimed at addressing it. Now, after identifying that the demand for firewood coming from schools is actually causing this deforestation, it's important that we address this and of course appreciating the integral value of the forest to our, our whole ecosystem. 2 days ago I was in Yumbe district and I realized that all of us ran and sheltered ourselves under a certain tree, one tree, because it was the only tree available and it was blazing hot. And it got me thinking, oh my goodness, this is important. This is a clear demonstration that we need these trees, and these trees provide shade, which is important. They improve our livelihood, our ecosystem, our water cycles and everything. So it's important that we then have interventions aimed at ensuring that we do not cut down these trees. In addition, we see that, the impact of this smoke on health, as has been clearly shown, and imagine in a home you're having one small cook stove. In a school you're having a big system, and the smoke that is coming out is affecting. The concentration is so high for these cooks. It's dangerous for their health, and also what environment, what country are we giving to our children? If by the time they take over, everything is degraded, it's going to be very hard for them to then come and, it's going to be much harder. So let us start now and make a better environment for our children. And how can we do that? By promoting cleaner and efficient cooking systems in schools. children will breathe better, reduced deforestation, and also improved livelihoods, and also cost savings for schools. So I urge all schools, I urge parents to take up this interest to ensure that they can, encourage the schools to adopt to cleaner solutions. Thank you.
Issues of clean cooking for a sustainable future. Now, what you need to know is that clean cooking is a right and not a privilege. Every home deserves a smoke-free health kitchen. Let us to ignite a movement to protect the environment with the same passion we do protect our traditions. This was a Good Morning Uganda Extra. I had Ms. Justine Akumu, a Senior Energy Officer with the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. Thank you for coming through. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Have yourselves a very good weekend. Be blessed and stay safe. Happy Friday. Bye-bye.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet.